Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Found. So, previously on Found, they called people on the list, and Jonah ended up making a discovery that there were a couple different addresses. Now, these addresses looked like maybe it was an old address and a new address. They also were kind of thrown off a little bit because they called somebody named Daniela and asked her if she was moving, and she didn't know she was moving. They haven't even bought the house yet that's on the list. So how do they know the future? Chapter 16. That's ridiculous, Jonah said. Impossible. Why? Chip asked. Jonah barely stopped himself from giving an answer that would have sounded like his dad. Because the government is set to serve the people, not ruin kids' lives by making them move. Instead, he mumbled, why would they care where Daniela McCarthy lives? How could it matter to them? And to direct her family to that exact house? Well, maybe one of Daniela's parents is a top secret scientist, Chip said, and some agency is about to drop a bomb on their house, so the FBI is moving them for their own safety. Jonah frowned at Chip and rolled his eyes. It's Daniela's name on that list, Jonah said, not her parents. Maybe that's some kind of code, Chip said. What about the other 13-year-olds on the list? Are their names codes too? Jonah asked. My parents are not top secret scientists. I can tell you that. No one's ever tried to make us move. Still, Jonah felt a knot of anxiety in his stomach at the thought of moving. He'd lived his entire life in the same house. Well, his whole life since he'd been adopted. My mom would never agree to leave her house, not even if the president himself begged her to. He said she spent too much time babysitting the rhododendron bush in her backyard, and her roses and grapevines and everything else. Jonah had never cared that much about rhododendron bush. He always thought Mom made way too much of a fuss over the gorgeous blossoms. Do you think they're a little smaller than usual? Did I test the soil acidity again? But now he pictured Mom clutching the trunk of the bush while some official-looking government person tried to pull her away, arguing, but you have to go, as she countered, I'll never leave, never. The image was strangely comforting. Hey. Jonah looked up to see the bus driver in the aisle in front of him. He was glowering. Let me explain something to you, the bus driver said. I pull up to your bus stop and you get on the bus. I pull up to your school, you get off the bus. It's not really that complicated. Jonah realized that they were now at school and he and Chip were the only kids still on the bus. Oh, sorry, he said, jumping up and grabbing his backpack. Maybe you two would like to go to the elementary school instead, the bus driver said. He seemed amused now. That's my next stop. This is the day when all the little kids stay on the bus extra long to learn bus safety. Do you need to do that to learn how to get on and off? No, that's okay, Chip said, scrambling behind Jonah. The bus driver stepped back between the two seats to let them pass in the aisle. He was laughing at them now. What a jerk, Jonah muttered, as soon as they were on the sidewalk. Other kids from other buses streamed past them into the school. He tried to blend into the crowd. At least no one else had been on the bus to hear the bus driver making fun of them. Chip grabbed Jonah's arm. After school, I'm going to call Daniela back, Chip said. Maybe she will have calmed down by now. And I want to call back the other kids on the list, too, and ask why they moved. You'll help now, won't you? Remember, you promised me. You said I'll do everything I can do to help you. Chip's imitation of Jonah's voice was frighteningly accurate. I didn't know what I was promising, Jonah wanted to argue. That was last week when I thought I would have to quote from What to Tell Your Adopted Child. Not solve mysteries, not see ghosts, not call strangers or figure out the FBI. Not worry about my own past. Chip's blue eyes were pleading and desperate. Catherine's all right and everything, but she's just too cheerful about this, Chip said. She thinks it's fun. What's wrong with fun? Jonah wanted to ask, but he knew exactly what Chip meant. All right, Jonah said, after school. The day dragged. Jonah couldn't concentrate on any of his classes. More than once, his teachers noticed and said, Jonah, are you with us? Or, Jonah, didn't you hear me the first 5 times I asked everyone to open their books? On the bus ride home, Jonah made sure that he and Chip didn't get too distracted. They were the first ones off the bus when they reached their stop. Catherine bounced up eagerly behind them. How many names do you want to call today? She asked. I don't have gymnastics tonight, and I did all my homework in the study center, so I'm ready to start dialing. Chip and Jonah exchanged glances. Well, we've got to get the mail first, Chip said weakly, and then, no problem, I can wait, Catherine said, grinning. She followed the boys to the Winston's brick mailbox. Chip took his time about reaching in, drawing out the stack of letters and magazines and junk mail. Jonah felt like telling him, look, if you think Catherine's going to get bored and leave it, forget it. Once she's into something, she doesn't give up. Chip was so completely into his act, trying to get rid of Catherine, that he just stood there, staring at the stack of letters. Maybe it wasn't an act. Chip? Jonah asked cautiously, is something wrong? Jonah remembered that lists and ghosts in the FBI weren't all that they had to worry about. He remembered that there had been letters, and that was the first sign of strangeness. Chip? Jonah repeated. Chip held up a letter. It's addressed to me, and there's no return address, he said, but it's not like the others. He was right. This letter was in a smaller envelope, the kind used for invitations, and Chip's address wasn't typed, but written in firm, grown-up handwriting like a teacher's. Open it, Catherine said. Let's see what this one says. Jonah turned to glare at his sister. What's wrong with her? Why isn't she scared at all? How could she act so thrilled when he felt almost paralyzed with dread? Catherine missed his glare because she was snatching the envelope out of Chip's hand and ripping the letter open herself. Whoa, she breathed. What is it? Jonah asked. He discovered he wasn't completely paralyzed. He could crane his neck and peer over Catherine's shoulder at the same time. The letter was a piece of generic white paper. When you unfolded it, it said, "You contacted me at 8:35 p.m. on Monday, October 2nd. I was not at liberty to discuss anything with you over the phone. If you call back, I will deny that I have sent this letter. I will refuse to tell you anything more. But if it's safe, I will meet you in the conference room, in conference room B, at Liston Public Library at 3 p.m. on Saturday, October 7th. Then we can talk. Do not attempt to contact me otherwise. This will be the only way." And there was no signature to the letter. We'll stop there.